Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
What's a sign someone has been through a lot of shit? They don't ask for help because people have let them down a lot. Extreme self-reliance is a trauma response. The first time I read that sentence, it explained a whole lot. In social situations, they never ask people about their family. Mostly cause they don't want people asking them about theirs. That's a new one my wife pointed out to me. Oh, that's interesting. I usually don't ask people about their family in case it might be a negative topic for them. I don't mind being asked about mine, but I seem to automatically assume that family is a potentially negative, triggering and sensitive topic rather than small talk, so I tread with caution. Sounds like you know people who've been through some shit. They are empathetic, kind and generous because they get it. Traumatic growth is something I see in quite a few of my high school students. They're very different from their peers. Can you explain what you've witnessed? They have the ability to turn to stone at the snap of a finger. Any past emotions, just gone. It's such a useful ability for when shit hits the proverbial fan. Family too stressed out to take action. Wife is crying, sister is just pacing around, and everyone in that sort of 1,000-yard stare. Just a sharp inhale away from shutting myself down and being the robot mom and dad always accused me of being, but that fucking robot figures it the fuck out. This 100%, but that fucking robot figures it the fuck out. I have spent a long time, my whole life, thinking I am broken and trying to catch up with normal folks. It has taken all these years to come around to being fucking proud of my survival. I shouldn't have had to go through that, but I did. I am still here thriving. I can work on continuing to improve and having pride for those same tools that got that little girl here. Yep, it's often the last time someone speaks to me when they finally realize I can be cold. Let me down with some lame BS excuse for your behavior. Get the fuck out of my life. I'm used to losing people at the drop of a hat anyway. That's it, more willing to be alone than put up with people's crap. We've become comfortable with just ourselves for company and don't have the patience for stupid games. Stubbornly independent because they don't believe they can rely on anyone. Being called hyper-independent like I was given a choice. Or resilient. I've come to loathe that word. Keeping themselves distant from everyone. Not opening up. Just to add to this, I will say I am fairly well qualified, having had 2 immediate family members die. I would love to talk about it, but every time somebody has got this out of me, it has been a complete conversation killer. It's one thing to have a simple heart-to-heart with a friend about some of your problems. But when you drop a nuclear bomb like that on somebody who obviously will never have the words to help, it just makes the whole experience a catch-22. You can't navigate it. You either leave your friends wondering why you're so closed, or you completely kill a nice moment and risk receiving the unwanted sympathies when that piece of sensitive gossip inevitably spreads. It just sucks. Exactly, my mom got murdered during quarantine and right after my grandma passed away. Nobody around me gave enough of a fuck to ever try to help me, and I ended up going down the wrong path mentally. People don't get it. People pleasing. Apologizing too much. Internalized blame. Not being fazed by terrible things and finds very little to be really shocking. A good listener. Lack of boundaries. A loner. Quiet. Avoids people and crowds. Avoids drama. Doesn't really care about gossip, small talk or the mundane stuff. Doesn't have much to do with family. Sometimes I wish I didn't know these things. Edit. Thanks for my biggest upvote and response yet, people. I don't feel so alone today. There are good people in this world. Keep fighting and learning every day. Heart. Unfortunately, I completely represent that remark. They don't trust people and aren't surprised by weird things that people do in public. Yep, as far as I'm concerned, everyone is lying and can't be trusted as far as you could throw them. Person taking a shit in public at a bus stop. Passed out, dead, homeless, druggie laying in bushes. That's just Wednesday. Source, been through a lot of shit. How fast they can flip the switch and not put up with your shit anymore. My abandonment issues are so strong that throughout dating I'd have this impressive ability to detach over a conflict. Ready to walk away any given time. In my head I'd picture packing up a camping trip, wrapping up the tent and physically walking away within seconds. After 20 years as a therapist, I have seen some people who are experts at switching. Those are ones I let take time to unpack their own baggage. If I try to help, I'm gonna lose them. We lose it over little things because we aren't allowed to lose it over big things. Surprisingly reliable during high-stakes chaos, but a tiny small thing will send us spiraling for days. I was going to say, the emotional response doesn't match the situation. Stoic and rational in actual emergencies, going to pieces over minor setbacks. For real. Fire in the basement, super calm. Kid can't breathe from asthma, calm. Overcook the pasta, Might as well be the end of the world. They tend to keep a lot of information about themselves locked up for fear of it being used against them. It will get used against you. The question is when, not if. No one cares about your struggles, everyone has their own struggles. People will listen to you but not care in a way you would expect. They apologize a lot for basically everything. I'm sorry for over-apologizing. Removed. They also might not realize when their humor is inappropriate, because humor about the serious, sad situation is how they get through. Especially if they've spent a lot of time in hospital or support groups, for instance for cancer, severe illness, or even mental illness, addiction, the jokes they make at those places don't translate well to workplaces. It's the casualness of the approach. Most people don't joke about, insert horrific incident, as it were Tuesday. Zero tolerance for drama, bullshit and toxic behavior. They're more likely to just walk away from friendships and relationships at the first sign. See, I thought I was weird for this, because if I meet someone I regard as a friend I will treat them WMTO all of my love, but the second goofy bullshit is pulled, I drop the guillotine. I do the same. It sucks, cause I enjoy being sociable with friends, but I'm at a point now where I can literally count on one hand the friends I spend time with, and I have fingers left over. Even worse is, some of them are getting to a point where I may well cut ties with them. It's shit and I'm so lonely, but my subconscious defense mechanism is strong and overpowering and I need to protect myself. Incredibly self-aware, very open about some experiences, make jokes about trauma. Enough about me. How are you doing? I see you, friend Red Heart. Socially distant, not trusting of anyone. What happened to Cocksmasher 1? The real questions. The eyes are a pretty good indicator. Been through shit eyes, seems to be a thing. I had a VP who worked for the company I work for now. He and I could get along pretty easily on a lot of things, and he helped me with a lot. I was homeless and suicidal for many years before I had started working there, and on rare occasions, he would drop the professional act, and when he was really happy, he'd laugh a lot and hand out hugs like candy. But when it came to deep conversations about struggles, he'd become very silent, and he'd listen intensely, and he had this soft sadness to his eyes. I could tell every single thing I told him, he could understand with a depth I didn't think another person could possess. He was eventually forced to resign from his position, and he got paid a lot of money for it. I think when it came to the world of progress in a cutthroat kind of industry, he hit a ceiling and couldn't break through because he wasn't willing to exploit others to do it. I had heard some stories about his son being a real troublemaker and his son serving some real hard time in prison, but his father remained stalwart and kind and thoughtful always. I sent him a long email about how heartbroken I was to hear he was forced to resign, and he sent me a heartfelt and encouraging text message me days later that I still have to this day. One of the last things I asked him before he left was, "So, what will you be doing now?" He looked to me with his soft eyes and said, "I think I'll do some painting." He is one of the kindest, most genuine men I've met that carries a weight only he can carry, but a weight that others who carry a weight can empathize with. Eyes have always been so interesting to me. I really can't place my finger on how it's possible to understand so much from eyes, yet we can understand so much just by eyes. The visible human life bar. Sad eyes are a very real thing. Hyperalertness aka hypervigilance. Fixation on potential threats, dangerous people, animals, or situations, an increased startle reflex, more likely to jump or be jarred by sudden sounds, dilated pupils. Higher heart rate, elevated blood pressure, behavioral, obsessive, avoidance of certain situations. Can't be startled easily if you see everything that is going on. As I'm sitting here, I'm tracking my cats by the sounds of their footsteps, passing attention to the sounds of cars going by on the street outside, listening for them to slow down, awareness of the locations of anything I might need in the house, can feel my pulse at 112 BPM and my wife's at 87, know exactly what time it is without looking at a clock, can tell that the trash in the can downstairs hasn't been emptied since dinner last night because I can still smell it, know what my wife had for breakfast this morning when she went out, and know I'm going to get a Charlie horse in the next 5 minutes. This constant flood of information exhausts me in a crowd as I'm taking note of everything people are wearing, how they're interacting with others, what they're carrying, where their eyes are, how they're moving. Always checking that you're okay, so they know they haven't done anything wrong or upset you somehow. Ouch. This one actually resonates. They avoid vulnerability. It's been 10 years since I first heard, vulnerability isn't weakness, and it still takes extreme effort for me to get to the bottom of this concept each time. Like a calculus problem with dictionary definitions. They seem to wait for bad things to happen and can't imagine a good or normal outcome. I can imagine it, but I never believe. So just in case, I have multiple backup plans. People think I'm creative and good at thinking on fly, but really I've just thought of all of the ways it won't work and created alternate courses of action, a bunch of them, way more than a rational amount. They startle easily, they are sick often. They have a collection of chronic, autoimmune illnesses. They apologize for everything. They stare off into space often. Exaggerated startle response and dissociation are both PTSD symptoms, and PTSD is a comorbidity, so yeah. I am ridiculously jump. I had a boss once that would love to sneak up behind me and goose me. I eventually told her she was taking a really big risk doing that, because one day I might deck her and it 100% be an accident. Sarcasm, thick skin, quick wit and dark humor. Yep, coping mechanisms. They're angry and resentful. I'm going against the grain here by saying this, but as someone who has experienced child abuse and been blamed for it and been misunderstood my entire life, yeah, I'm angry and resentful. Sorry, update, thanks everyone. To those who are going through similar, I feel you, a lot. It's okay. I am too. I'm sure you're also a loving, caring person. It's not a binary thing.